Okay, I will be dancing around spoilers in this review, which does make this a very difficult film to review when I can't entirely go into specifics, but I will try my best anyway. So, Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm not a big MCU fan, but I am a big fan of the character of Spider-Man, and I have a real fondness for Tom Holland's portrayal of the character, particularly in Homecoming. So I have been really looking forward to his latest outing. It's the first MCU entry since Endgame to feel like a proper cinematic event, admittedly mostly because of the multiverse angle. It's also the first movie in a long while where I found myself staying offline so I could experience it as spoiler-free as possible. Now, I saw something where Tom Holland mentioned that the original plan was to market it as a Spider-Man vs. Doctor Strange movie and keep the iconic villain's involvement a secret. Having seen it, I wish they had. No Way Home has got me thinking about some of the negative impacts the internet age has had on anticipating things. Leaks, constant debate and discussion, and clickbait can affect the way you go into things as well as the movie itself. Not in a massive way, but can you imagine how insane it would be when Alfred Molina shows up for the first time if we had absolutely no prior knowledge of his involvement? During the period when all the villains are getting introduced, it feels designed to be surprising, but going into it knowing they were in there lost that effect, and kind of made things sag a little at that point. It's a little disappointing to think this movie could have made for one of the craziest movie-going experiences ever had the web not been so obsessed with finding things out. But putting that aside, I still had a really good movie-going experience with this one. The cliffhanger from Far From Home makes for an interesting opener, even if there was untapped potential in the concept of a superhero's alter ego being revealed to the public. There's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg to Liz, the love interest from Homecoming, and it made me wish we got to see her again and her reaction to Spidey's identity. Honestly, there's an entire movie in that premise that's only utilised for about 20 minutes here. But that time is still very enjoyable thanks to some unexpectedly dynamic filmmaking with some Raimi-style push-ins and an unflashy but very effective long take. And I really enjoyed the chemistry between Peter, MJ and Ned, being the most prominent and entertaining it's ever been, and paying off in a very poignant way. My favourite performance though was from Willem Dafoe. There's a reason his Green Goblin is so fondly remembered. The way he flits between sympathetic and over-the-top scenery-chewing psychotic is magnetic. Even with all the other memorable villains returning, he's always the one I wanted to watch whenever he was on screen. As for how the villains themselves are used, it has just a couple of eye-roll worthy winks to the audience and moments where they have to awkwardly explain their backstories. But for the most part, their involvement isn't purely for novelty. The story does some very interesting things with them that became very entertaining to watch, particularly in the third act, which I found to be a genuine delight. I smiled at the interactions and the big action finale that was just a ton of fun. Most of the action is great throughout. It's loud, exciting, and in some cases visually inventive. While the CG itself is a little bit of a mixed bag, the lowest points of it were never quite enough to take me out of the experience, and when it's good, it's really good. It's a very solid blockbuster with a real sense of character about it too. The central dilemma of how the lives of Peter Parker and Spider-Man can coexist is presented on the largest scale it's been in one of these movies. And while that doesn't necessarily make it the best Spider-Man movie, it's still very compelling to see the route it leads to. While that route runs the risk of convoluting what comes next, for now I came away really satisfied with it. And judging from the very excitable reactions of the girl in the row next to mine, I think most people are gonna be satisfied with this one as a whole. Alright, I think I did a good job of keeping my thoughts spoiler-free, and regardless of whether or not you've seen it yet, hopefully you understood and enjoyed my thoughts. So, thank you very much for watching, leave a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you all next time, whenever that may be. Goodbye!